Doing some SparkFun learning tonight. Just finishing getting set up and started. Echoing and all that kind of fun stuff. Hope you had a great week. Just coming off of a really nice outdoorsy weekend. Doing all kinds of fun stuff. Cool. This music is too loud in my ear and I can't think. So we gotta make an adjustment here. Not bad music. I'm kind of digging it. I'm just gonna make a little bit of just a bit of a fine tunement here. Bit of that adjustment. Alright. That's it. Okay. So, last week was week 1. Kinda got into it. Kinda got started. The premise of the stream is I got this lovely SparkFun Inventors kit. This was recommended to me by a friend of mine who was like, Grant, why are you still not knowing how to do anything with sensors and Arduino? You would have so much fun and you'd be great at it, so why aren't you doing it? Yeah, reason not. So here we go. So last week we got set up with the IDE, which is the Integrated Development Environment, and we got the Arduino hooked up to my computer. We also got part of the way done with lesson 1. I have since forgotten everything about what I did, and we'll need to kind of retrace some steps tonight for sure, because I haven't thought about this at all since last week. That's a little bit of a lie. Last Sunday, once I was done, and then Monday and Tuesday, it's most of what I could think about. Since I've done a couple of different streams and I've done a couple of different other kind of fun activities. So I'm psyched to get back into it. Feels like it was weeks ago. So I think first thing to do is move some of this stuff forward. Here, so this is the kit. I found this last time I was opened up an unrelated, or like a somewhat related electronics box. I found this thing, which I think I'm going to be actually adding to my typical workbench. It is, okay. Thank you, Zen. Excellent feedback. How is that? Is that a little bit better? Music should have gotten a little bit quieter. I almost feel like this is too intense right now, but I really like the song, so I'm a little conflicted. We'll see. Maybe just being quieter is enough. I had I'm going to add this to my actual just toolbox that I carry with me everywhere, in which I have a small soldering kit. I had the stars all aligned, and I had an excellent opportunity to do some soldering this weekend. I'm going to pull up a picture of it because it is absolutely gory. I did a bad job. But my old pal Zet Wilder had a pair of headphones that had died. They were messed up. And they got wrecked. And I was able to, thankfully, the manufacturer of these headphones was really good about labeling everything, and I could trace on the other side of the circuit board, I could figure out what the colors of the wires meant, which was quite nice. So this is an absolutely awful soldering job, after I did this, I then smushed some thermoplastic into kind of between the wires and stuff to insulate them. And I know I didn't have any flux with me, so I'm going to be, my lesson was that I need a magnifying glass, hardcore. Magnifying glass and tweezers would have been super helpful. And then I also need to carry a small bit of flux with me because the solder just like did not want to stick. These wires had like, I'm pretty sure like a Kevlar center or something like that. I don't know if that's common or not, but it was like a very difficult to cut, couldn't cut it with my scissors, like nylon type fabric, type thread inside of those wires, in this, like as the core of those wires. So it was just a disaster trying to solder to them. But I'm gonna be adding this. It was quite nice to be able to do like a really good like electronics repair. That was awesome. I had a really fun time doing it, and miraculously they actually worked. I don't know how that actually worked. Small roll of solder wick also helps with any over solder situations. I'm not even sure what solder wick is. Is that a tool? Is that a product? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. We're gonna look it up right now. Live. Solder wick. It's a product. Recommend looking it up. Cool. Oh, interesting. I'm gonna save this tab that explains to me how to use it, and I'm gonna read it later. But yeah, I think, I don't know, I had a lot of fun with it, the project, so it was nice to do some electronic stuff. And I'm excited to do some more here. So, let's see where we all left off. Take out, what even is any of this stuff? Yeah, it really is, and it was nice because I mean those were nice headphones, so it was good to save my pals at Wilder a couple bucks, having to get a new pair of headphones. You feel super powered, but maybe that's just a feeling you get from breathing in too much soldering, too much solder fumes, which was happening. I'm going to change out my soldering iron that I have in my toolbox is one of those butane ones. So you fill it up with butane like you would from a lighter. And it's nice because it doesn't have to be plugged in anywhere. It's very portable. However, dang it, I ran out of fuel, like thankfully just before I got done, but I did run out of fuel and had no way to refuel. So I'm glad I didn't have to like resolder anything in my truck on the way home or anything like that, because that would have been SOL. So I think I'm gonna go to Adam Savage. Adam Savage has a really nice soldering iron that he recommends. That's, I believe, USB or 12 volt or something like that, that can be portable. And his setup that he has uses a DeWalt lithium-ion battery to power it, and I have several of those with me in my kit that I bring around everywhere, so I'd be able to power my soldering iron. So I think I'm going to go that route soon and replace that in my kit. So where the hell was I? Let's see. We're just going to power this on. Yeah, it is really cool. I can link you the video a little bit later, but he does a really cool thing. You know, with any of the stuff that Adam Savage buys in his channel, he likes to kind of customize it as soon as he gets it to build it into his, to work for him right away. I kind of did a similar thing with my sharpening jig that I used the other day, where I built kind of a custom stand and made some adjustments and stuff, but I made a really nice caddy for his soldering station. That was very impressive, and it was nice to see some demoing of that tool in the process. So we're going to, let's just take a look. What the hell did we do? So put that all in frame. I think I'm gonna go ahead in OBS here, and I don't know if I can zoom in or zoom out, but I'm gonna try to, I can't get this whole thing in here. I wish I knew how to zoom more in OBS. It's a very difficult task to do in this tool. I want to get this entire thing in frame, but this is fine for now, I suppose. So we were doing this previous task here. So this is the previous task we were working on, where we were doing we were working with the potentiometer. That's right. So I'm just going to take another quick glance at my diagram here. I think we're all still good to go. I didn't unplug anything before I put it away. So I wanted to kind of just get back into here. I was feeling a little rushed by the time we did this part of it. So I think I'm going to just plug her in, and I think it should do a thing. So we should be blinking based on the input from the potentiometer. Similarly, I open up the IDE, we should be able to see. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add a video capture device. We're going to do full. Yeah, we're going to do one of these. More picture-in-picture. There, now we can kind of see stuff happen. So this is my stream info. We don't need to see that. This looks like, okay, this is the potentiometer project. So this is all that we have here. And I remember there was a cool thing we looked at that was the serial monitor. Yeah. Look at those go. So this is reading off the potentiometer, serial input, and those are millisecond delays coming through. And the reason why the number of the delay between seeing these posts in serial area and the blinkies that we see being the same is that it blinks every time it makes a cycle. So if we slow down the blinks, it also slows down the cycle and thus slows down the serial output. Does that all sound, we're good to go on that? It all sounds good? I think that makes sense. Just kind of talking myself through what we had done. Arduino pro tip. That serial monitor is cool. I dig it. Variable placeholder for values. So it's saying and I'll go back here so we can look at it. It's talking about this here. Code to note: integer variables. A variable is a placeholder for values that may change in your code. You must introduce or declare variables before you use them. Here we're declaring a variable called potPosition of type int. We will cover more types of variables in later circuits. Don't forget that variable names are case sensitive. It looks like they are using proper camel case, which, so is camel case in this, Mr. Zenhaver? Is this just a best practice, or is it required? Hi, Tempeep. It is hard. This is difficult. I'm having a blast, though. I made a blinky light that does the thing. Best practice only. But it is probably a best practice that if you don't do it properly, there will be lots of side-eye and missed job opportunities. Really? Yeah, it is a good blinking light. Brushback. Hey, man. Man or woman. Sorry, I use man as like a... I think I've called plenty of inanimate objects man. Hi, welcome to the stream. Yeah, you should totally get back into it. It's great. I'm a total noob. I haven't really done any of it. Oh, formerly inorganic mechanic. Hey, man. Good to see ya. Falls under the erroneous umbrella of coding style. Okay, that's good to know. Are there other styles that are not camel case that are sometimes seen as a best practice? Or could it like you miss a job opportunity because you didn't have your stuff in proper camel case? I love that kind of stuff because the graphic design industry, which is something that I'm majorly a part of, is completely ridiculously pedantic about stupid crap, and like not having something labeled properly or done right or calling something the slightly wrong thing totally screws you up your job possibilities. I love pedantic crap. It's really entertaining to me. Okay, so we're gonna get back on track mentally here. I gotcha. It's just how you feel, man. Yeah, I like it. Let's cable out of the way. That is good info. Okay, we are totally ready. Okay. Oh, that is a really good point. As with anything, and this is with graphic design and other web stuff as well. Who gives a damn what the standard is in the industry? You follow the standard of the place that you work. You do what your coworkers do. If they label stuff a certain way or name files a certain way, you best darn learn how to name stuff the same way. Otherwise, you will become an abrasive person to them. That is very sound advice, my friend Zenhaver. So we got some really bad attention span this week. It's rough. We're not so good at attention span. So this plus music, the blinky light, I just gotta wrestle my mind, keep track. Excellent discussion, I love it. So to protect my mind from being distracted, I'm going to unplug this blinky light for a minute because gosh darn. I think that's seriously happening. And actually I'm gonna turn off this light that's right in front of me because it's pretty red. Oh, that's so much better. Okay. 61 degrees down here. Nice and toasty. It was 54 before I turned on the space heater an hour or two ago. So I'm psyched at how warm it is. Okay, so what we're gonna do. Circuit 1C, photoresistor. We got to use the potentiometer. So I'll read this out here. In circuit 1B, you got to use a potentiometer, which varies resistance based on the twisting of a knob. In this circuit, you'll be using a photoresistor, which changes resistance based on how much light the sensor receives. Using the sensor, you can make a simple nightlight that turns on when a room gets dark and turns off when it is bright. Sick. That's cool. A new component we're going to use is a photoresistor. It's a light-sensitive variable resistor. As more light shines on the sensor's head, the resistance between its two terminals decreases. They're an easy-to-use component in projects that require ambient light sensing. What a cool piece of magic that is. That's fascinating. How the hell does it work, Zenhaver? I need to know. I can look it up too. We're going to look it up right now. That's what we're going to do. This is us staying focused. This is focused work. How does a photoresistor work? Oh, cool. So, when light hits the photoresistor, the photons from the light excite the electrons in the valence band, increasing their energy levels and allowing them to cross the energy gap to the conduction band. Because more electrons are then available to conduct electricity, the resistance of the photoresistor drops. That's awesome. such magic. All of this stuff is so magical. What's it made out of? Huh. That's... okay, yep. Nope, we're gonna get a fancy transistor. That requires me knowing what transistors are at a fundamental level. So it looks like it's made out of silicone. No? I'll have to digest this more later. This is cool. My phone bloops. What is my phone saying? Oh, dang it. Okay. That's cool. Okay, we're gonna... See, we're just like all over the place today. So, new concepts. Analog to digital conversion. That's cool. In order to have the breadboard sense analog signals, we must first pass them through an analog to digital converter, or ADC. The 6 analog inputs, A0 to A5, covered in the last circuit, all use an ADC. These pins sample the analog signal and create a digital signal for the microcontroller to interpret. The resolution of this signal is based on the resolution of the ADC. In the case of the red band, that resolution is 10-bit. With a 10-bit ADC, we get 2 to the 10th power, or 1024 possible values, which is why the analog signal can vary between 0 and 1023, because it is a zero-based indexing. Yeah! Voltage dividers continued. Since the red board, I think I might have called that red band a couple times already. Since the red bands were a villain, I think, in a D&D campaign that someone was running, they were good. Since the breadboard can't directly interpret resistance, rather it reads voltage, we need to use a voltage divider to use our photoresistor, a part that doesn't output voltage. The resistance of the photoresistor changes as it gets darker or lighter. That changes or divides the voltage going through the divider circuit. That divided voltage is then read in on the analog to digital converter of the analog input. Oh, we're starting to lose comprehension as I get through this. I realized I was reading out loud, but it wasn't sinking in very well. Maybe it'll make more sense soon. So voltage out equals voltage in times resistance squared? No. What does that mean? What is it? Math friends. What do these little numbers mean here? That's not powers, is it? That's like just multiplying, right? What does it mean? I know what it means when it's like up above, but like down low? I don't know what that stands for. Oh, okay. Just a label, okay. Okay, this assumes that you know... Okay. The voltage divider equation assumes that you know 3 values of the above circuit. The input voltage, Vin, and both resistor values, R1 and R2. If R1 is a constant value, the resistor, and R2 fluctuates, the photoresistor, the amount of voltage measured on the Vout pin will also fluctuate. I think I need to build it based on their diagram and then stare at it for a little while and maybe then look at the code and maybe that will help. This is hard. Okay, we're gonna get the parts out because we're just gonna break this into smaller steps, everybody. Smaller little itsy bitsy bits. And it'll work out great. So we need to get out the An LED, check. 7 jumper wires. I'm gonna unplug all these pals here because I'd rather rebuild it from scratch than just modify this one for better understanding. So here's our potentiometer. We don't actually need our potentiometer today. So I'm gonna put it in my mouth. Nope, I'm not gonna do that. That'd be silly. I'm gonna put it in a tiny bag. I'm just gonna put it in this bag. Yeah, yep. Yeah, very much feeling that right now. Put that in there. Take a little nap ski, Mr. Potentiometer. And then this pile of stuff I think has, see it? Yep. Our photoresistor. Oh, photoresistor pal. Take a look at this guy. This is our little photoresistor pal. Oh no, we're not getting. Oh my god, the fingernails so dirty, gross. I need to clip that. I'm sorry, everybody. I was like doing yard work stuff this week, so it got kind of gnarly in there. This looks pretty cool. It's a lot easier to understand the concept in picture form, instead of equation form. Yeah, well, I think it's probably on the next page, or we'll just have to find it online. Let's see if we can see this thing. Baby photoresistor! That's cool. Neat. Get out of here, light. Okay. Got that. We have a 10K resistor, but we also need a 330 resistor pal. And here we go. We got 2 oranges and a brown. That's the one we want here. So we're just going to take off. No, isn't that right? Yep, that's good. Just what we need. You know what? Actually, we don't even have a 10K out right now. We already have a 330, but we don't have our 10K. So I almost grabbed a duplicate. The trick that tipped me off to it was I already had one removed from that, so there we go. We want brown, black, orange for our 10K. Put that there. Zip this up. And I'm just going to set this bag of jumpers over there. Eine Minuten bitte. Oh, like that. Okay. So, got a photoresistor. Check. LED. Check. 330 ohm resistor. Check. 10,000 ohm resistor. Check. And a big pile of cables. This pretzel fellow is me being too cheap to pay for the music service that I'm using, and thus I can't turn off the chat bot that announces what song it is. I think there's another music option that I have, but I have not had the chance to look into it, so I will do so soon. Yeah, it's kind of annoying, but you know it works out okay. I like the synthwave. It's really fun, and it makes it seem more like I'm doing some kind of cyberpunk activity. Yeah, No, it was, I think those are just links to the artist or something. Right, working on this project. Okay. So this does not have the diagram you were talking about, Mr. Zenhaver. So we're going to try and find it. So should I just look up voltage divider? Thanks, pal. Okay, what do we got here? Kind of making sense. So okay, here's what I'm... Some proportion of some input voltage. So if the two resistors are the same size, the voltage in the middle will be half of the input. So does it matter what size of resistors they are then? Or not really, because they just need to be the same to be half? This is tough. I'm struggling with this one. I'm gonna find a better diagram. That's the problem. We need more diagrams. The absolute size does not matter at all. Purely about their size relative to one another. Okay. We're still struggling, but I think we're getting closer. This one has a picture of a photoresistor. Maybe that will help. Light coming in, I think. So what determines then? Look at the one 3 down, 2 from the left. 3. This one here. Left. 2. This one. What are these? Oh, let's see. Okay. So the resistors, is your choice of resistor kind of just dependent on your circuit in general? Like what kind of power you're running through it? And because we're doing 5 volt, that's what dictates that we need the 10K? We're gonna snip snapshot this thing. Skloop. Save it. I guess I could just save it otherwise, but I don't know if that's the right thing to label that. I'm going to leave this up on the computer, though, as I try to continue to think about this. Okay. Mr. Zenhaver, do you think it's alright for me to proceed assembling it? Or should I try to... I think we're getting close to it. I think I'm gonna have to watch a seminar on it. Go for it! I mean, is the 10K... Because the one thing I could see about it being a 10K, why it would choose to be that, is because the photoresistor... we use a 10K because of the resolution of the breadboard. And the resolution of the breadboard is 10-bit, which means it can go up to 1023 or 1024. This photoresistor is probably set to match that in some way, shape, or form. So we'd want to choose a 10,000 ohm resistor because there's a relationship to that, maybe? I'm just gonna build it. Goodness. Okay. There's not any relationship between the ADC resolution and the resistor value. Dang it! Guessed wrong. That's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out eventually. So LED is number 1. This LED is going to go into... And sorry about my hair. Thank you. Thank you for the nice try. It's, you know, we're going to get there eventually. Got the LED light in place. And this is the 330 ohm resistor, in which it does not matter which the orientation is, because it is a non-polarized object. Get in there. This ground wire to the ground rail at 1E. That's the danger of doing this stuff kind of on your own, right? Is because, like, the danger is that I could venture forth with a completely wrong assumption. It does kind of seem like light brights, doesn't it? Which one of these is my camera that I like? Hey, there we go. There I am. All right. Yeah, it does kind of remind me of light brights. Has anyone done any breadboard projects on a light bright? I don't know if that's how light brights work, but it's kind of what it feels like plugging stuff into it. This is our other ground. It goes into 1. This is this ground. Sorry about my head being in the way. Oh god, that's like... That's a good... So that goes in there. I'll do one of these. I'll go to the side so I don't get my head in the way. So that's plugged into ground. I'm going to put our... I'm going to try some of this. That's kind of cool, right? We can kind of see that a little bit better now. That's going into the ground. Oh, just get in frame. Okay, there we go. Now we can see that that's in the ground there. I'm gonna add the other. I'm gonna add our positive line. This 5 volt, and that goes into the top of the positive rail. There. Next thing we're going to add is we're adding our link to our friend Mr. Pin 13. which is our digital pin. Digital pin 13. I'm going to use the camera to help me see this. Verify. Yep, that's the right one. So pin 13 is going to go all the way over to the end of our other resistor. This makes no sense to me why we're doing this, but I think it should... Actually, you know what? Let me attempt here. Pin 13 is what's in charge of the LED light. So what's happening here is... So pin 13 is going to get triggered by our analog input from down here, from the other stuff, photoresistor pals. So that's going to trigger in the coding application side. It's going to trigger the positive. This is sending a positive current through this resistor to the LED, so we don't burn out the LED, and then down to ground. Cool. So this setup here, we're going to be doing some of this malarkey. Here we got our positive, our analog, and our ground. So we're going to choose our analog input 1, which is A0. That's going to go on into E26. Go. E26. There's our analog input. Now I'm going to plug in our ground to the ground rail. Doesn't matter where. And we're going to add our hot wire to our hot wire channel. Don't matter where. And we got our two friends, our two resistor friends here. One is the photoresistor, and one is not. I'm going to bend these down. So, and then I'm going to put it. Oh, good lord. That's, okay, so, gotcha. So this goes into the spot right here-ish. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, cool. And we're going to use this pal here, our little freezer friend. Nope, that's going to make this harder. We're not going to do that. And the 27. That should just say here, cool. And K resistor goes into C27, B26 and C27. Okay, I'm going to bend this out a little bit just so we can see it a little better. And then our photoresistor pal, which if a photoresistor is like other resistors, it will be non-polarized, so it don't matter where it goes or which way we put it. Cool. And here. Wires are way there. Actually, I'm going to use the tweezers here. The leads were kind of bending on me, so I didn't want to wreck them. So I'm just going to get in there, man. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to bend this out to kind of match. Make sure that's in there good. There's our photoresistor pal. So that should look pretty close to this here. P.S. I've been thinking about it for the last 15 minutes plus. I just remembered who Inorganic Mechanic was at some point. So, thanks for joining. I'm psyched. Glad you're here. Pow. Okay, nope. Bang. Okay. So that's all good. I think I've got everything. I've got the ground for my analog circuit. Good. So I've got, there's my, so I've got my ground for my analog circuit. I've got my positive for my analog circuit and my digital wire here for my analog circuit. For my digital circuit for turning on and off the LED, this is the control, the digital wire. This is the main ground and the main hot. This is the ground for my LED cell. So that diagram is working. So for this photoresistor, is this basically, if this photoresistor is a potentially 10,000 ohm photoresistor, I would want to pair it with a 10,000 ohm resistor as well, keep that relational. Or what is the maximum resistance of this thing? Or are they rated differently? Because I could see that being a relationship then. Like you'd want to just pair a photoresistor with a non-photoresistor that has kind of the same limits to have it balance out, right? To be able to be read more logically. I think. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna hide you. I don't understand it. If it's a 10K photoresistor, then it will be 10,000 ohms in complete darkness, or pretty close to 0 ohms in the brightest light. Oh. So yeah, okay. So that does make a little bit more sense now. So if they're both reading 10K, then we're getting 50% analog input. So your analog input is probably going to be divided by half or something like that, just to get a decent number, like you start at 50% or something like that. Let's see what the code tells us. Maybe this will start to make more sense to me. We'll load this sketch. You get two extremes. In complete darkness, you will have basically a 10,000 resistor from both R1 and R2, meaning the voltage divider value will be 0.5, the input. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. 0.5 times the input, okay. It's starting to click. File open. In full light, it will be basically a 0 ohm resistor and one 10K resistor, meaning the voltage divider output will be basically equal to the input voltage. Okay, so we're going to see in the code, it's going to say essentially if the voltage from the analog sensor reads 5 volts, then don't turn on the dang LED. But if it reads less than 5 volts, then maybe turn the LED on in proportional until it gets to 2.5 volts. Or something like that. Like, yeah, okay. I think that's starting to make a little bit of sense. Let's see what this says. Use a photoresistor to monitor how bright a room is, and turn an LED. I can't sit cross-legged in here. So a voltage that scales from the input voltage. So you have a voltage that scales from the input voltage to 0.5 times the input voltage, depending on the resistance of the photoresistor. So you just read the input then from that. And as long as everything, and this is maybe why you'd want to find sensors that are on 5 volts, is because you can kind of base everything around the input voltage of 5 volts. So let's see what this says. Okay, so integer photoresistor equals 0. That's the default. Integer threshold equals 750. Okay. So if the photoresistor reading is below this value, then the light will turn on. Right, so okay. Void setup. What does void mean? So it says, what you should see. The program stores the light level in a variable. Using an if-else statement, the variable value is compared to the threshold. If the variable is above the threshold, it's bright. Turn the LED off. If the variable is below the threshold, it's dark. Turn the LED on. Cool. Yep, makes sense. Open the serial monitor in the Arduino. The value of the photoresistor should be printed every so often. When the photoresistor value drops below the threshold, the LED should turn on. You can cover the photoresistor with your finger for testing. So this is analog read. So this is setting the variable for photoresistor, or this is saying the variable that's already been set as an integer is tied directly to the reading of analog 0. So, question then, if the threshold is 750, does this have to do with the resolution of the board? So is the total possible there 1024, and we're saying 750 is the threshold in which it drops? So this 750 is out of 1024. Yes, I got it. All right, cool. Sorry if the clap was too loud, but I'm psyched. That makes sense. Okay. So still not, oh, that's just serial connection with the PC. Okay, that makes sense. This is the output, right? So this is the output which controls the LED turning on and off. The loop here, reading the brightness of the ambient light. Analog read, this is what we just talked about, so that's tied together. This is the helpful serial.printin photoresistor. So is this, you just put a variable in this spot? Makes sense. Print that variable. If the photoresistor value is below the threshold, turn the light on. So we say, okay, if photoresistor, oh, this is nice and clean. Photoresistor is less than threshold, then digital write to high, which is true. We could also put true or false here. So high or low. Delay 100. Short delay to make the printout easier to read. All right, cool. We're gonna plug this in and it's gonna work. And I think I'm starting to understand it. The relationship between the resistors still is a little confusing to me, but I think I'm starting to get the whole voltage thing and like how that deals. It's starting to make sense. Right, we have to do this thing. Upload. We gotta skip this song, I don't like it. Okay, so cover up the photoresistor. Sick. Yes. Okay, this is starting to make some sense. So it's turning off at partial light. So what I could do is I could be like, nah, brah. We're gonna go down to 500. And this is going to require it to be darker for it to turn on, I believe. So we're lowering the threshold. So I have to actually cover it up with my finger in order for it to turn on now. Neat. Okay. And we're going to put the threshold at... You should look at the serial monitor to see the lowest it will go. I was just going to put it lower than that and be like, look, it doesn't turn on. You're right. I should look at the serial monitor because it's cool. 865. So let's see how low it goes. It's also going through my finger. Need something. This is a black piece of rubber I found on my desk. Goes down to 275 is the lowest I saw it. So only when it's really dark. So So from that information, if I figured out the darkest, the lowest it will go, let's say I put this in like an absolutely super duper heckin' dark place. Once I figured out the lowest this could go, I could extrapolate the resistance of this thing, right? Because what this is telling me, because if this would be at, you know, what is it, 512. This would be at 512 if these resistors were exactly the same, but they're not exactly the same. Therefore, that relationship is a little bit different. So that this is maybe more or maybe less resistant than this 10K resistor. And because of that, it's not exactly half. It's just, it's half of whatever that equation is. Okay, that's starting to make sense, I think. So if I look at this, yeah, okay. So resistor 1 plus resistor 2. The half thing is, it was, I think, a little confusing for me, what it meant by, like, half. A little weird to me. But I think that's kind of making sense. Thank you so much for helping explain that. That really does help significantly, so I appreciate that. All right, let's keep on trucking. Coding challenge. Okay, it's saying response pattern. Now, okay, this is doing some logical operators. Let's see if we can follow along with this. What does it say to do? Right now, your if statement turns the LED on when it gets dark, but you can also use the light sender like a no touch button. Try using digital write and delay. Make the LED blink a pattern when the light level drops, then calibrate the threshold variable in the code so that the blink pattern triggers when you wave your hand over the sensor. Also, it says replace the 10K resistor with an LED. Alter the circuit by replacing the 10K resistor with an LED. Now what happens when you place your finger over the photoresistor? This is a great way to see Ohm's law in action by visualizing the effect of the change in resistance on the current flowing through the LED. I think I'm going to do the first one for sure. It'll slow us down, but I think it'll help drive this home. I'd rather go slow and steady and just have this take more Sundays than kind of rush through it, so. So I need to blink a pattern when the light level drops. Calibrate the threshold variable in the code so that the blink pattern triggers when you wave your hand over the sensor. So first, let's get our threshold back to 750. Get it all right. about we just do like some of this jazz. So I'm gonna do some of this. That one. Oh yeah, we do. Sorry about the tabbing being weird. Let's add these in here. Okay, so that should, when it reaches the threshold, it should be like, I'm gonna blink a bunch. And then I'm gonna actually delay this afterwards to add an extra 0 in here. And so what this should do is, once I lower it to 750, good plan, my friend. Once I lower the resistance on the LED, once I cover up the light, then it should blink. Otherwise it'll just be off. Hey, cool. So now the way it's set up is that once it gets down to 750, which isn't that dark, it'll blink a couple times and then it'll delay. Bloop bloop. Hey, don't. Nice. I'm gonna take a drink of water. Phone's just blowing up. Let's see. Okay. All right, just taking a 2-second break. I'm really excited. I've got another streaming idea. I'm just like totally hooked on this. I picked up a bunch of oak logs that need some splitting this weekend, and I'm just gonna split some wood on stream because that seems on brand with all the long dark stuff. So I'm excited about that. Gonna get that rigged up this week. I think I'm gonna have to figure out how to physically get like a recording setup, streaming setup outside and not have it be too friggin' cold. I think it should work good. I'm psyched. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is a good speed. It's nice. It's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff to figure out. And it's nice having Zen have her on hand to explain some stuff. I appreciate that. I'm gonna unplug this, and we're gonna do that thing where we're just gonna remove all of our stuff. I know I'm just gonna have to do it again, but it's good practice. So I'm gonna take all these out. Good practice even just to sort through, like, what do each of these rows mean? How do I read the resistance on these dealy mabobs? I've never been able to make the connection between, like, I've always thought about resistance as something needed just for LEDs, but it's never made sense to me and how it factors into sensors. So this has been really helpful today to kind of take a little bit of extra time to think about it. So I've got all those components out. I also need 12 jumper wires. Goodness gracious. So we're just gonna grab our good old bag o jumper wires. And let's see here. gonna grab our pal, the potentiometer. Take him out of his plastic prison. I think that's all we need. Oh, I need the RGB LED. Oh, there you are. This is cool. Come on, fingers. Let's do it. Come on. Come on. My friend, let's go. Okay, got it. God, my hands are dumb today. Oh, and we're gonna put our friend, the red LED, back into their home. I've got a lot of friends, if you can tell. All of these LEDs and resistors and potentiometers. But not these bags. Get in there. Okay, so here's all of our components. Here. Got a bunch of wires. Okay. With this next circuit, circuit 1D, RGB nightlight. In this circuit, you'll take the nightlight concept to the next level by adding an RGB LED, which is 3 differently colored light-emitting diodes built into one component. RGB stands for red, green, and blue, and these 3 colors can be combined to create any color of the rainbow. False, they can be combined to create up to 16 million potential colors, but maybe not this specific one. Liars. So that was, see, I warned everyone about just being pedantic. I can't help it. I'm extremely pedantic. So new components. The RGB LED. An RGB LED is actually 3 small LEDs. Yep, I already said all that. To turn on one color, ensure the ground is connected. Then power one of the legs just as you would a regular LED. Don't forget the current limiting resistors. If you turn on more than one color at a time, you will see colors start to blend together to form a new color. Okay, so there are 4 pins. Get over here, light. Let's see if that helps. So we have 4 pins. The longest of which is the ground. So the longest of which is the ground. There we go. So that's the ground there. Longest one. The one above the ground is red. Below is green. And the shortest one is the blue lead. That cool milky looking kind of deal. Sweet. New concepts. Analog output. Pulse width modulation. It sounds so cool. The digital write command can turn your pins on 5 volts or off 0 volts. But what if you want to output 2.5 volts? The analog write command can output 2.5 volts by quickly switching a pin on and off, so that it's only on 50% of the time. 50% of 5 volts is 2.5 volts. By doing this, any voltage between 0 and 5 volts can be produced. This is what is known as pulse width modulation. It can create many different colors on the RGB LED. So the PWM pins. Only a few of the pins on the breadboard have the circuitry needed to turn on and off fast enough for PWM. these are pins 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, and 11. Each PWM pin is marked with a tilde on the board. Remember, you can only use analog write on these pins, not analog read or digital read or anything. I see the tildes. Let's look at them. There we go. There's the tildes. So all the ones with tildes have pulse width modulation. What are we working on now? We're learning about how to identify pins that have pulse width modulation. So we're going to be utilizing these to write different voltages for the RGB LED. So my guess as to what's going to happen is that we're going to connect the 3 pins, the R, the G, and the B are going to each go to some pulse width modulation enabled digital output pins for the digital write command, so that we can change the amount that goes to each based on that refresh rate. That's my guess. It's going to do all the same kind of stuff. We're going to use the potentiometer to do something with that. Maybe as we go, it's going to change some values to, yeah, I don't know, but I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to use the potentiometer to change the colors by altering how much power goes out via those PWM pins. We're making an RGB nightlight, Mr. Zenhaver. Yeah, this is cool. Look at that diagram. Wow, that is a lot of stuff. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so we need, oh, I forgot to collect the rest of the parts. I saw we needed, oh yeah, I didn't get enough of these. So we need 330 ohm resistors. That's one thing I'm missing, so we gotta get my kit back. All right. So I was just thinking the other day, at some point, I am gonna finish this project, this whole kit, this whole box, and there is a project that I want to do, but also maybe I'm just gonna get some more kits. Maybe we'll just do some more learning kits, because this is kind of cool. I'm really enjoying doing this, and it'd be really neat to continue this learning, continue doing these kinds of kits. I think eventually I'll know something. Take another drink of water. I'm pretty badly dehydrated today. I think I say that a lot. All right, better. It's gonna be a miracle if I don't have to stop the stream early to use the restroom, drinking that much water. Too much information? Sorry. That's just, that's what happens. So here we go. Back to our diagram. Okay, I'm gonna bend these little pals. We're going to bend these to shape. We can easily put them into our breadboard. And I know these are the 330s because of the colors on the bands. Okay, these, and these go across this gap here, which has a name. We're going to look at the name one more time because I've forgotten it, what it actually is called. What is that called? Breadboard facts. Need some breadboard facts. That is the center line. Cool. Okay, so I need to put the resistors across the center line. So, and they go at, looks like 2, 3, and 5. Across the center line at 2. And 3. And we're going to make sure that the bands line up correctly so that it looks good. Oh geez. Bending these, I gotta make sure I use this thing. I should just get like a normal ass tweezers and not this magnifying glass one because it's a little harder to use. I'm just gonna set it in there and then use my tweezers to push it down. Okay. Step 1 is complete. Have our resistors in place. Let's line them up a little better. Okay, resistors are in place. And let's stick our LED in right away. So we know where the ground has to go, because it's got to go on that 4 channel. There, so this ground goes there. This is going to require some, like, dexterity. I got it. It's kind of challenging actually, but I did it. Cool. There we have our LED in place. Ooh, I like this song. This is good. Very much secret mission. Got my LED in place there. The correct pins. Yep. Kind of hard to tell. The light gets kind of bent in a weird way. So, right across there, this is pin 4, or row 4, and that's the one that has the ground pin, common ground, for the LED. Alright, let's get our photoresistor in place. Nope, that's not the right word. Our potentiometer in place. And that's going to go in B15, 16, and 17. I don't think it really matters a whole lot. I'm going to put it in A. Let's put it in B. Because A is occupied by the LED. Cool. Let's get our resistors in place for the photoresistor. That goes into 26A and 26, 27, or 25B. Okay, we have our 10,000 ohm resistor, those 26B and 27C. wasn't focused on the right spot there. In the right spot. So now I'm gonna take this out, and we're just gonna do some of our wire mapping here. So in order for get that to work, yeah, just as I thought, we're gonna be hooking up the red, green, and blue, and I like that they're using the proper colors of wires here. To each of them gets their own pulse width modulation enabled pin on the digital output, or just the digital pin that we are setting to output. Cool. So get out a green wire. Okay, green, which if I look at the, okay, so green is, so let's do red first. Let's do red is going to go to, that's 9. How about the head? Head getting in the way. Focus, please. Come on, focus. Let's go, camera. Let's go. Kind of gets out of focus and then it just doesn't want to do it. Okay, now track my hand. Wow. Gotta touch our camera here. Excuse me. Actually, let's not have that watch me do this. Okay. Ah, jeez. Let's try one more time. Okay. All right. We're back. Okay. Ugh. I also had a brief moment of a problem where my earbud cable and audio cable extension got wrapped in the chair wheel. And it's pulling down on my back of my head because it's connected to my ear. It's just it's a mess here, trying to stand up sometimes. Okay. So red is going to pin 9. Digital pin 9, which has pulse width modulation. I also know that the this pin here, pin 5, on the board here on this LED, this goes to red because of the placement of the ground. I'm going to place that there. And then green is on the opposite side of the ground. That goes into the PWM enabled pin 10, which is 3 on my breadboard. And blue, which is the smallest pin on the LED, is going to go to 11. And that's on row 2. Once I do this, I'm going to double check it, of course, and see. Yep, okay. That is it. We're going to go back, look up our common ground. What the right terminology to call that a common ground? How is your tea, Zenhaver? What did you get? What kind of flavor? Power here. And then I'm going to get the we need another red wire here. can go anywhere on this channel for all the common positive. The potentiometer is going to the second analog input, A1. That goes on the center pin of the potentiometer. And the ground goes to the common ground. Peppermint tea, that's so good. I do enjoy peppermint tea. At some point, I should try and get you a small bag of some of the peppermint tea that I harvested this fall. It's quite yummy. So another blue wire. Doesn't need to be blue, that's just the... I just want to keep it standardized with this kit here. Ooh, it is feeling cold in here. It's getting chilly. This will go to the top pin for the photoresistor. That's the positive, so it's the 5 volts. The middle pin, which is connected to both of the resistors, between the resistors and the ground, is what we'll read the... Nope, that's not where we put that. We put this over here. This is analog input 1, or A0. This one goes between. I almost made an oopsie. Okay, this is making sense. So, in general, the LED outputs, so these are going to control the LED power, go over here, go through the resistors to lower the voltage so that it can be handled by this RGB LED. It goes through there. You know what I'm missing is a ground for my LEDs. That's what I'm missing. So the power goes through the resistors into these positive pins for the different LEDs in this object here. Then the ground is common to these, goes and connects to the ground rail here on the side. Over here we have a potentiometer, which I think it like splits the voltage between positive and negative and gives the leftovers of the readings of it through to this analog input here. We have our photoresistor here, which does that photoresistor magic we talked about earlier that I'm starting to grasp but can't quite say out loud yet. And all of these are hooked up there. Okay, feeling good about it. I think this is it. I'll put away my other jumper wire. I think we might just finish up with this project 1 today. I don't know if I want to start with it 2. Oh no, that's... Excuse all of the rumblings there. That's my overhead camera is screwed into my floor, which I'm in the basement right now, and so anything happening upstairs shakes the camera quite dramatically. It's funny. Okay, so we have here a light that's in the way. Get out of here, light. So we're gonna plug this in. We're gonna plug it in. Okay. Now that's plugged in. We have absolutely the wrong application running. Where? Friends. And I'm going to go to File, Open. I'm going to do Circuit 1D, RGB Nightlight. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so here we're setting the variables to the pins. So we're declaring these as integers. We're assigning which pins match which variable. We're also setting the variable for the threshold, which has to do with our photoresistor. So LEDs are connected to these pins. So red pin is connected to 9, green is 10, yep, and blue is 11. Right? So this is all in just as the application opens. So we haven't gone into the void setup. So void setup means end setup. So we're not really declaring the beginning of setup. It's just everything above void setup is the setup. Correct? So we're not like open setup, close setup. It's just close setup, or cancel out the setup, or say we're done with it or something. I don't know. That's what that seems like anyway. Here we set the serial connection with the computer here, 9600. I still am not quite sure what 9600 means, or like why we chose 9600 versus something else. So the LED pins, set the LED pins to the output. So pin mode, okay, so we're already saying up here, it's interesting that we're just putting numbers here. We're not like saying anything else. These are just assigned to numbers on here. It's not like a reference letter plus this number. It's just a number. So we're already saying this variable equals this pin, this variable equals this pin, and then down here we're saying, okay, so we might as well just be saying 9, 10, 11 here. So pin mode is set to output. And that's a little foggy, but that's okay. So here's the loop. We have the analog read A0 on the photoresistor. So this is the on-off, and the potentiometer is the additional information. So serial print, photoresistor value. Oh, this is nice. You can create labels and stuff. I didn't know that. That's really nice to have in the serial output. I'm sure you can put lots of nice information in there. What is... Oh, I guess they have. Maybe it's tabbed. That's important. Okay, so photoresistor value. This will tell us our on-off, and the potentiometer value will give us the numbers for that. If photoresistor is below the threshold of 700, then it's too dark and it turns on. Then inside of, so these nested if statements check for a variety of ranges and call different functions based on the current potentiometer value. Those functions are found at the bottom of the sketch. So if potentiometer is greater than 0, or this is OR, correct? Double ampersand is OR. We're gonna skip this song too. Or if potentiometer is less than or equal to 150, then red. If potentiometer is greater than 150, or potentiometer is less than or equal to 300, orange. Okay, so it sets all of these. So the potentiometer goes between 0 and 1024, so it's probably using these. So, or turn off. Oh, that's interesting. So this maxes out at 900. So if you go all the way on this thing, and that means there's still like 124 units of space left for that to work. So that's just like a separate value you can choose. That's cool. So it's turning it off if it's outside of this range, which covers everything up to 900. Cool. Clever. This is a delay for printout and for testing it, so it's strange that they're putting this void stuff later on here, but I guess it needs to be declared. So set the LED pins to be red. Okay, so that's red pin 100%. Okay, so this is cool. This is just the values to get the different colors from the LEDs. Cool. All of that makes sense, which is awesome. So we've got that uploading. So if I cover this up, we get yellow. Okay, let's also open this up. Serial monitor. So neat. I'm gonna zoom in here. Okay, so this being covered up turns it on. That's the same circuit we did before. And now I can adjust the color. So as I change this, I'm doing the same thing it was before, I'm just getting different values. Now I just assigned it to do different things. It's cool. Neat. This is, I feel like I did a thing. This is cool. I'm excited. I feel like I did a thing. So that's really neat. I like that. Ooh, a little cold down here. So add more color. So we could add more values into the RGB thing. Do a multicolor blink, change the threshold, and we could do a fading LED. I don't really want to do very many of these challenges. I think I understand it pretty well. Like, it's kind of a separate thanks. Kind of a separate kind of task. I wouldn't mind just like playing around with like the LEDs a little bit more and just learning about the different values. Maybe finding a guide as to like what to set the RGB LEDs to get the various colors. I'm sure there's some nice libraries of that around. Cool. Oh man. Okay, we are at Project 2. But, you know, if I'm being real honest, this was a lot. This was a lot of brain power to get through this. Just this last part of this project, that was a lot. And I think trying to understand the various concepts of pulse width modulation and how this is sending different values, you know, looking at this, you know, this is sending different values to the pins between 0 and 100. Like understanding how that's functioning, that was kind of a lot. And then, man, that photoresistor thing was a mental. It was kind of a gauntlet, everyone. It was a lot. So I think that I might end a little bit early tonight because it would be really fun to start off. Maybe we'll do just a little preview and just see what it's going to be. But I think I'm going to stop the stream just a few minutes early tonight. When we get back to next week Sunday when I do this stream, unless I do any bonus versions of it, I think I'm going to try and keep it just every Sunday. We're going to work on Project 2, which states, in Project 2, you will venture into the world of buttons and buzzers. Awesome. While building your own Simon Says game. Simon Says is a game in which LEDs flash a pattern of red, green, yellow, and blue blinks, and the user must recreate the pattern using color-coded buttons before the timer runs out. Oh god, that sounds like a lot. We're going to learn about a few new components, the buzzer and buttons. New concepts that are going to be introduced. I know it's going to be pretty temp. New concepts introduced. Oh, and this makes it better. We're going to be using arrays, which will be nice for those answers and things. We're also going to learn about binary, digital inputs, pull-up resistors, for loops, measuring elapsed time, and I'll also learn how to make tones with a buzzer, how to read a button using digital inputs, and how to program a game, which sounds super cool. I'm kind of excited about that. That could be kind of a neat thing. So, thank you so much, everyone, for joining tonight. This was super fun. I had a good time with this. We're going to keep playing with this while we talk for a second. So, we have... I have a couple more streams coming up soon. So, tomorrow and Tuesday, I'm going to be playing some of The Long Dark. Tomorrow, Monday, I'm going to be playing The Long Dark at 7 p.m. This may be due to change. I think I'm overlapping with a friend of mine's schedule of streams, so I might take a look at that, might massage that schedule a little bit, but I'm for sure going to play The Long Dark twice this week, Monday and Tuesday at some point. Tuesday's stream is at 5 p.m. I'm thinking on Thursday, I'm going to be doing another episode of my sharpening stream. So I got... Ooh, I just dug out of a box my sharpening kit, but I would have cut my hand horribly. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to shove that back under there and just promise you it's cool. So I'm going to be doing that, I believe, Thursday. I'm going to be doing a sharpening stream. And then, I was saying a little bit earlier, I'm going to be doing, the sharpening stream is kind of part of my little bit of IRL Long Dark stream where I'm doing things vaguely related to the Long Dark. It is winter here now in Minnesota, and I'm gonna be doing some. I think I'm gonna do some wood splitting. We're just gonna hang out outside. I'm gonna split some wood, and I think that'll be kind of fun. So, I'm personally very excited. I just went and picked up some logs to split, and it'll be nice to get some physical exercise because I don't get any of that. So I'm really psyched about it. So that's what's going on. If I don't see you until later, I'm also doing this stream again on Sunday. I am so jealous that V.E. Kruger has eggnog. And oh, hey, Zet Wilder. So gonna be doing this stream again next Sunday at 8 o'clock. We're gonna be starting on number 2. And I would love to invite my friends here to tell me about the streams that they have coming up. I think Tembeep and V.E. Kruger may have some adjusted schedules. Zet Wilder, if you have anything to share about your stream or golf cart stream, let me know what's going on. I'd love to throw it in chat, bleep bloop it in chat, and we can check out some of that fine programming at that point. Can you call stuff programming on Twitch? Is that too weird? Live stream? I don't know. I don't know what to call it. Let's see what components. Golf is streaming right now. Testing out the capture card. Cool. What's your homework for next week? Oh, goodness. I don't have any homework ideas. Yours are TBD? Cool, cool. All right, well, let's... So golf cart's streaming right now. So go check that out on Twitch. Thanks for the link in there, Zet Wilder. Appreciate it. So my homework, I think I'm gonna do a little bit. I really like this depiction of this buzzer. Oop, like doing this thing. I don't have any homework for you. You kids go play outside. That's your homework. Go play in the snow. Get cold. That's great. Alright, I think with that, I'm going to sign off for the night. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a lovely evening. And I will see you all soon. Take care.